Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Bookworm and Christ podcast. And this is also the book discussion of The Nature of Love by Toni Shiloh, who has very graciously agreed to join us today. This is my copy here. And so welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much, Tony, for agreeing to discuss this amazing book with us and making time at this busy time of the year where everybody is getting ready for Christmas and all of that. We really, really appreciate it. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here and talk about the book.
Yeah, and I should tell you, this is like probably about the third or fourth book by you we've read in the book club.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes, yes. And it's so funny. Last year for Christmas, we read You Make It Feel Like Christmas.
Oh,
And everybody just loved it. It was the perfect, story for Christmas time. But this year, it seems like the months have caught up with us, unawares. And so we are not reading a Christmas book at December. And so this was actually a book for, I think, between October, November, if I'm not wrong. And so we've had one discussion in the group, and they said, no, we have to discuss it again because some people missed it. And so then I thought, okay, let me find out if get to the Charlotte to join us. And you said yes. And so here we are now. So thank you so much. Um,
yeah. Thank you
yeah.
for the invitation.
So I think we'll start off with talking about the book itself. So I actually read the love script first. I think that's the first in the series, right?
It is.
And then I got to know about the nature of love before I got to know about yeah, Run Up Love, Tuck and Piper's Storm. And so I read it out of order in a way. I'm yet to read a Run Up Love, so I'm looking forward to that as well. But the thing is, personally, I don't mind spoilers. And I mean, for romance, we always know they end up together in the end anyway. But it's nice to go back and read and see how that ended up happening.
Right.
And so I'm really looking forward to that. So I think for me, the first question is when you first started writing the love script, did you have the intention to do it as a series, or did the characters just come to you as you were going along?
That's a great question. No, when I started writing the love script, I definitely knew it was going to be a series. So I knew that Piper and Tuck would end up together. And I knew that Chris would end up with someone, but I hadn't yet figured out how she would come into play.
Mm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think in A Run at Love, even though I haven't read it, in The Nature of Love, they mention how Tak had to have surgery, and Erica was the one who did the surgery on him. So when you put that in, did you know you were going to set her up as the love interest for um what's his name? Chris. Yes, Chris.
I did, yes. By the time I got to A Run It Love, I put that in on purpose because I knew she was coming up in the next book, so I wanted people to be like, "Oh, I remember." Yeah.
That's so cool. That's just so cool. And what I always tell people is truth is stranger than fiction because when you hear people's love stories, some of these things do happen. Like you hear about people who maybe had bumped into their spouse at some odd place years before and then they end up together, unexpectedly. And so when I read these things, I don't see it as too far fetched. And I feel like it should actually inspire people or give people hope that anything is possible. And so I really like how that happened for these two. So, a key part of your books is the faith aspect. And I must say, personally, I've been on a journey of discovering Christian romance, and I keep getting amazed, each and every time I discover a new author. And I found that in your books, the faith aspect comes through in different ways, which always fits seamlessly with the story. But here, in particular, we see Erica as someone who only knows about Christ through her sister. And unfortunately, and I hope those watching or listening to this later have either read or don't mind spoilers, because some spoilers would come up. But this tragedy that takes away the one person who knew Christ, and now she's faced with taking care of these children and grappling with, how does a God that my sister was, so fond of and following so diligently, how does he cause this tragedy? But then eventually she gets to that point herself. And so I wanted to find out, how did you let me so I put notes down because I knew that I might get carried away. How did you, in this story, and then in most of your stories, how do you approach balancing, the spiritual growth along with the emotional and romantic development in your characters in a way that it's so balanced and so seamless, like one doesn't outweigh the other? How are you able to do that?
Um, Honestly, I think it's God that I'm able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, One of the things I always do before I write, like every single time, even if it's the same story, is I pray first, because I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that I'm writing what God wants and not what
Mm-hmm.
I want. And I know that for each story, God has a person who will be affected by the
Mm-hmm.
message. And so I'm always trying to just keep in tune with the Holy Spirit to make
Mm-hmm.
sure
Mm-hmm.
it's going the direction that it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I do a lot of character development before I even start writing the book. I don't
Mm-hmm.
plot, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I know my characters.
Mm-hmm.
So with Erica, I knew she didn't believe in God before I started writing, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew that Chris did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, like, knowing them and knowing how they feel about it, I think it's easy when you start writing to, keep both of those in line. That she didn't have time to date. She
Mm-hmm.
also doesn't know God. And
Yeah.
and just keeping that in mind, like the characters begin to tell the story and show you where it needs to go. And of course, I feel like the Holy Spirit is downloading through me as well as I write.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so amazing. And it really shows, because even with the prayers, when Chris would pray for Erica, or he himself would pray in the moment. So just before we joined back, and I was flipping through again in the part where, he fell when they were skiing, and he said the prayer asking for God to, help him have the best surgeon for the situation. I'm like, this is just so real and so apt. Like, it can only be God, and so it's really amazing to hear that from you. So another thing is how, this story, it's really realistic, because this accident happens right after he and Erica have finally confessed. And then, like, life is like that. There's
Yeah.
joy and then there's sadness. And I think a lot of people, believers, and those who are skeptical about the Christian faith, they tend to ask, why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Things
Yeah.
like that. But through this story, we see how, the Bible tells us that He works everything out for our good. How do you personally define happily ever after, particularly within Christian romance? having all these realistic aspects of tragedy intertwined with joy?
That's a fabulous question. Wow. Um, I think for me, the happily ever after is that they're together and that no matter what life throws at them, they'll approach it together.
Mm-hmm.
They've got God in the center and they're going to look to God together and just, you know, be that one unit, keeping in step with God and facing whatever comes their way.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
some people think that happily ever after means, oh, you're going to live a life without hardship, but
Yeah.
that's unrealistic. Like,
Yeah.
that's not life. Life
Yeah.
throws so many things at you, but like you said, you can still have the joy. Like, when we have Christ and at the center, we know that whenever we're in a hardship, we're not alone. Like, he's
Yeah.
right there along with us.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much. And that's really is so true. And it really comes through in this because so one thing I was wondering, your depiction of them, having to suddenly adjust to being parents overnight, because Chris is with her right from the get go.
Yeah.
So even before they decide they are a couple, he's basically acting as a father. And that part where they had to take the road trip with the kids crying. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so real. Like, I've experienced it just driving from home, taking my kids to school when my son was a baby and my daughter was a toddler. Suddenly, somebody needs to pee, somebody is hungry. So I'm wondering, how is this from personal experience? Like, particularly juggling the kids because it was so real.
Yes. That's the quick answer. Yes. So there was a time, well, there was two times when we had cross country moves in our family. The first time we moved from Georgia to Nevada, and
Hmm.
when that happened, my youngest was a couple of months old, and my oldest was like 3.5. Um, so you
Hmm.
can probably
Hmm.
imagine the type of road trip that was.
Oh, wow.
And then the second time is when we moved from Nevada to Virginia, where we live now, and they were 2 and 5 at the time. So definitely have
Wow.
the road trip experience.
But I'm wondering which is better, a road trip or a flight by air. Definitely the flight would be shorter.
Right?
That's how, yeah. But depending on their ages too, they all have their difficulties.
Yes, exactly. We've done the flights too. Yeah. And then you're constrained to just
Yes.
just your row. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And with the plane you can't stop anywhere.
nope. And then you're worried about other passengers. Is your kid too loud? You got to make
Mhm,
sure your kid's not kicking anyone in the front. Yeah.
mhm, 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 mhm. Ah, amazing. I feel like as a mother that hit so, like, it was just so real. So yeah, that was amazing. So one of the major themes we see in this is, that of healing and grace. And so I wanted to find out, was there a particular message that you wanted to put across, that you were most intentional about conveying, you know, through not just Chris and Erica's story, but even through the children as well? Were you focused on putting across a particular message about healing and grace?
I think with every story I write, I definitely want grace to come about.
Mm.
It's been such a huge impact to my own life, the grace of God and the things He's forgiven me for and the things He's brought me through. Like, grace
Hmm.
covers so many attributes of just the human life.
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure that comes through. But This one, yeah, definitely healing because of the tragedy
Mm-hmm.
Erica goes through. I think sometimes when we're in a grief situation, it feels like it's a permanent situation. Like there's no way out. Like we're going to be stuck there forever. And so I wanted to show that, yes, it'll change you. It'll change
Mm-hmm.
you, definitely. But that some way, somehow, God will shine grace on you and your life will alter, but you will be able to find the good again.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's very true. Because definitely Erica and Chris, their lives are altered permanently in a very major way. You go from, zero kids, just living the single life, managing your own schedule, to suddenly not just one, but two children
Yeah.
and having to navigate all of that. Two children and a pet. Let's not forget.
Yes. Yes, the pet too.
So yeah, that was amazing. Um, so as a reader myself, just as I was saying, I really saw myself in the struggle traveling with children. I was wondering, what are some of the responses you've had from readers so far that have surprised you the most or that have encouraged you as well?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for the encouragement part, I actually had a reader reached out who had lost their sibling. Um,
Mm,
and
mm,
so they said that this book was a little bit of healing for them.
mm-hmm,
And that meant a lot because I think one fear I had as an author is if I'm writing a subject that actually hits really close to home for the reader, is that they would feel dishonored.
mm,
Like I never want to add on to any hurt they're already feeling.
mm-hmm,
So knowing that it encouraged her, encouraged me, and
mm-hmm,
let me know that I wrote what God wanted me to write.
mm-hmm,
But as some of the other antidotes is, people really identify with the kids if they are parents, like they've
mm-hmm.
seen their own kids in
Yeah.
some of the situations. And so I think that's a fun aspect is being able to have all these different people all over be like, yes, my kid would act just the same way in that
Yes, yes,
situation.
yes, yes. Yeah, it shows that, truly we are all the same people. It's just culture that eventually makes us differ, but
Yep.
kids everywhere.
They're all the same.
They're the same. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at how I've been home all day. I've been with my son and not doing much. The very few minutes before I was supposed to come on to do this, that was when he decided he needed different things.
Yep. That's how it
Ah,
goes.
yes, 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 yes. That's just it's a blessing, honestly.
It is.
um, so on the writing aspect of this, what was, and I think, um, so I've written a book with a friend, and when we first wrote it, we first started writing it, we thought it would be a standalone, and then later, some of the characters started, coming to life in a way that you realize that, okay, no, they will need their own story as well. But we realized after we published the first one that when we started writing the second one, trying to get the timelines correct and all of that was a real struggle. And
Yeah.
so I was wondering, what was the most challenging part of writing the nature of love, especially because you had written two before, and so you had to make sure that certain things still matched up, particularly
Right.
the friendships between Chris, Chuck, and Lamont. And how has the story shaped what you plan to explore in future books?
Yeah, so timeline is definitely not my favorite part of writing a book.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll actually have a calendar up and be like, okay, where am I at? How many weeks did I say? And I have to go back to make sure that I'm matching things up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful for editors because they'll check my timeline as well and be like, you might want to recount where you're at. So that helps. But I with these three, I pretty much knew it was just going to be those three in the series, and then it would be done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's sad because you get really attached to the
Hatched,
characters,
yes. Mm-hmm.
and you don't necessarily want to say goodbye. But
Yeah.
I think the more books I write, the more I'm like, well, can I have someone pop in another story? So that's always an idea in my head. Like I hope that one day in a future book, someone will read about Lamont
Yeah.
acting in a movie, or someone's watching the Kentucky Derby, like whatever. I
Yeah.
hope they'll pop up,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm.
and then readers will be like, I remember
For
them.
you, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And I love that you brought up movies because there's this question I really want to ask. And so I think probably later on in the book club, we'll try and do this, fun activity ourselves. But if the nature of love was turned into a movie, who would be your dream cast for the two leads?
Okay, so for Chris, I was picturing Michael. What's his last name? Ely.
Ely,
Yes.
the moment you mentioned his blue eyes, that's who came to mind.
Yeah. He was definitely the inspiration and who I
Hmm.
was thinking
Hmm.
about when I read it. And then for um, Erica, I'm trying to remember her name because I think her name is. Hold on, let me double check
Hmm.
because I know
Right
she's in
now,
a
I'm also
Tyler Perry show.
I'm picturing someone in my head, but her name is not coming to me right now.
I know. I was like, what is her name? I can't find it on because I have a Pinterest board.
Uh-huh,
Um,
uh-huh.
so I can't.
So,
I
like, do you have a
it's
Pinterest board for each book?
I do. I really do.
That's so cool.
Yep, it has so many inspiration photos because I'll use them sometimes when I'm writing and I want to describe something. I'm like, okay, what does that look like realistically?
Mhm.
So it helps me convey the image I want to get in the book.
Yes, 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 yes. Because, I was thinking about the cover as well. I just love this cover. It's so cute. And so, personally, I've realized that whenever I have an idea for a book, um, doing a mock-up cover really helps to bring it to life for me as well. So when you mentioned the Pinterest board, that is so exciting. And so even about this cover, did you have a lot of input into the cover, or did you just have the publishers and the illustrator come up with it on their own?
Yes, they always ask our opinion, which I love.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so they'll ask for inspirational photos of like the
Hmm.
characters, and they'll ask, like what time period, like all the things that they need to know, and
Hmm.
then they'll actually ask like what are you imagining for the cover, or what don't you want. So for this one, I really wanted the Garden of the Gods in the background, which you can see on the cover. Um, Outside of that, I didn't really have a hard idea of what it would
Hmm.
look like, but I knew I wanted that in the background. And
Hmm.
so when I got the cover and saw the mock-up, I was like, yes, like
Yeah,
this is perfect.
perfect. Yeah, yeah, that is so cool.
And I
I
don't
I
know, a lot
really
of people miss the fact that her stethoscope is on his heart.
you know that is so cool. Yes, yes. Like there are all these tiny details that I feel like it's the same way that when you do read a book, you notice new things all the time. And so
Yeah.
even with the cover, when I first got it, I didn't immediately notice the dog. So as I started reading it, I don't know if it's because when I started reading it, it was featuring. That's why I noticed it. But I thought that was so sweet. And even the way Erica has sort of lifted her leg just a little bit,
Yes.
almost with that Princess Diaries thing going on. I thought
Yeah, I
that
love
was
the
so
leg
cute.
lift.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's so cool. Um, so I think I have one last question.
Okay.
Um, no, I have two more, but they are, fun questions. So the first one is, what do you usually drink while you're writing? Or do you listen to music while you're writing? Do you need complete silence? What is the scene like when you're in writing mode?
I definitely am usually drinking tea. Um,
Okay.
and it changes what kind of tea depending on my mood. I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And then I always have a playlist going. I make a playlist for each book. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I'm working on it, I just hit play and it's on in the background. And my brain knows, okay, this is the nature of love we're working on.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
yeah.
That's really cool. And then, so I was so excited. Okay, now I feel like I have two more questions because so the last but one question is, how are you able to write so much? And I know you have a family. You have a family as well. How are you, like, you're so prolific? I keep discovering new books by you. Like, just last night, I saw you posted, the free Christmas ebooks, and I don't know why I hadn't noticed that book before. I think the title um is it All the More? It's part of a
Yes.
series, and it actually features a female main character who is wheelchair bound. And I was like, wow. Like every day I'm discovering new books by you. How are you able to write so much? Like, do you have these stories already finished and you're just popping them out?
No, no. I it's so funny because I feel like my very first book, I was so slow. But at the
Mm,
time, my youngest was 4,
mm.
so I only had nap times to write. But now my kids are teenagers, and so when they go to school, that's my writing time. And so
Mm,
I'm like, I got to get as much done as possible before
yeah.
they get back home. And
Hmm.
so I think God just kind of blessed me
Hmm.
and lets me write fast
Hmm.
so that I
Hmm.
can, do what I can before they come home.
That's awesome. Wow. And so, what I wanted to ask you about, and I'm looking at the cover right now, is your next book, Hearts on the Fly, which I believe is coming out next year, sometime next year.
Yep, and February 3rd.
Oh, wow. Just in time for Valentine's.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Hearts on the Fly?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So it is a hockey romance, which I am so happy about.
Yeah.
And it's about Jabari Hall. He's the hockey player, and he gets severely injured.
Hmm.
And so after a little bit, his teammates try and cheer him up and set him up on a blind date. Only the woman who is his blind date, it happens to be his ex girlfriend's sister.
Oh!
And he's person non grata in their family, and she was going to leave the date because she loves her sister, but then he explains his injury and how it's affected him because it's affected his eyesight, and she
Oh,
feels bad, and
wow.
she offers friendship.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
then they have a little bit of forbidden romance of whether or not
Yes.
they can be friends, considering he dated her older sister once upon a time.
Hmm. Oh wow, I'm excited for this. And the cover is so gorgeous. It's so
I love the
beautiful.
cover.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so beautiful. I can't wait. And when you mentioned forbidden romance, I remember you make it feel like Christmas as well. There was this case of Star having to be in a wedding where her sister is marrying her ex. But I feel like you are able to write these, forbidden things in a way that isn't jarring and in a way that is realistic because these things do happen.
Right?
So I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. Yeah. So I think the last question I have is, what are you reading this Christmas, or what are you currently reading, or do you have any book recommendations? Because I see that you post, other authors' works and what you read on your Instagram as well.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question because it got a little quiet on my end?
Oh, okay. So I was asking what you're currently reading, or if
Oh.
you have any book recommendations for the Christmas season.
Yeah, I am not currently reading anything. I just finished a book yesterday called The Holiday Assist by
Okay.
Taylor Epperson.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the best friend's younger brother trope.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so that was kind of fun. And then I really love Courtney Walsh's My Merry Mistake. She has a
Mm,
heart. Um, it's a heart. No, Holidays with Heart
heart.
is what it's
Yes,
called,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
each book is about a heart sister. So
Mm-hmm.
that was really great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure what I'm going to read next. Maybe Baker. I have one of hers, and I just
Mm-hmm.
also got Pat Simmons' latest Christmas read. So I have a
Ah,
I have a huge
yes, shopping for
Christmas
Christmas.
read
Yes,
stack.
yes, yes,
Yes, that
yes,
one.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Oh, that's
I might start that
exciting.
one.
Oh wow. I feel like we could chat forever, and hopefully we'll get another chance to
Yes, I would love to.
chat with you. So let me end this podcast recording here. Thank you to everyone for watching, listening. If you haven't read a Toni Shiloh book, I don't know what you're waiting for. And so this Christmas, definitely add all her books to your TBR and get ready for Hearts on the Fly, which will come out in February next year. And thank you so much, Toni, for making time. And we look forward to having you again.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Okay. All right. So, guys, I'll speak to you in the next episode. Bye.